Welcome to In the Verse, songcrafting in the Firefly universe. With your hosts, songcrafters, and fellow Browncoats, Marc Gunn and Mikey Mason.
Welcome to In the Verse, songcrafting for the Firefly universe. My name is Marc Gunn, the creator of the Firefly Drinking Songs show.
And I'm Mikey Mason, creator of the Beer Powered Time Machine podcast and currently the MIKEYtalks podcast.
This is part 12 of our 14-part series. We are rewatching episodes of Firefly. Our goal is to find themes and stories that we can write songs about.
The first 6 episodes were funded by Marc's fans and his Gunn Runners Club. He hit a milestone which made this show happen.
There are still more episodes of Firefly, and these last 8 episodes were funded by Mikey's fans, helping him hit a Patreon milestone as well. But you can still help us in this creative endeavor by supporting him at patreon.com/Mikey Mason.
And by supporting Marc at patreon.com/MarcGunnMusic.
We're going to start with some upcoming shows. I have a whole bunch of shows, and I'm going to just list a few right now. So March 12th, I have a St. Patrick's Day internet concert. Of course, I do a lot of Celtic music, so I'm going to be doing some St. Patrick's Day songs. There's also for St. Patrick's Day weekend, which is the weekend before St. Patrick's Day, since it falls on a Tuesday this year. I'll be at in Birmingham at Interstellar Ginger Beer and Exploration Company, and then 5 Points. I'm going to be at Concoction, March 20th and 22nd. I'll be at Sherwood Forest Fair in April, the first 2 weekends of April. Black Sparrow Music Parlor in Taylor, Texas as well. And then JordanCon in April 17th through 19th.
Wow. And then every Wednesday you're still doing...
Every Wednesday, still Coffee with the Kilt Father. I'm going to keep that going at least through the spring. So come watch one of those shows. They're free shows. They are on YouTube. It's at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, again, every Wednesday.
And I was looking at the list while you're doing that. You have a lot more dates than that in April. You were like abbreviating.
Yeah, I felt like there was a whole bunch, and I was. I try to get the big ones. There are several local shows. You know, I've been playing at Tucker Brewing Company and the Lost Druid locally pretty regularly, like every at least twice a month. So it's keeping me really busy, which is one of the reasons why my schedule throughout the spring is packed up, which is awesome. It's like It's like the first time in 10 years that I've had a full schedule, probably even longer than that.
My April is currently barren of dates, which means that if I don't get booked, if I don't make myself get booked anywhere, I expect to be putting out albums and music and stuff, but I do that every month anyway. So here we go. For me, March 13th to 15th, I'll be at BFG Con in Frederick, Maryland. March 20th to 22nd, Animatic Con in Cincinnati, Ohio. Skipping all the way over April because I'm currently barren into the late May. May 23rd, Muncie Comic Con. That's a tentative date. May 29th to 31st, Con Carolinas in Charlotte, North Carolina. June 19th to 21st, Fear the Con, just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. And June 26th to 28th, Anime Fest, Wichita.
All right, some news. Now, I think my main big news right now, and hopefully this is still running while this is we get the show up in time. But Selcouth is my next CD. It is sci-fi-ish music, which is a mix of traditional Irish and Scottish songs.
Sci-fi-ish.
I know, isn't that great?
That's so brandable, Marc. That's awesome.
I know it. I was at the Lost Druid, and when I was meeting the owners there, and I walk in and meet the woman who's co-owner with her husband, and chatting and such, and then her husband walks out and he says, she says, "This is the guy that plays Celtic music." "Oh yeah, the sci-fi Irish music." I was like, "Where have you been the last 20 years?"
Yeah, no doubt. I should have been marketing that from the beginning.
Why couldn't I have gotten that sooner? Oh well.
But if it's still going and if we put on our writing hats and make this happen and I'm all for it, where are they going to be able to support that album on Kickstarter?
Well, you can head on over to kiltfather.net, there's a link over to the Kickstarter. It's going through March 13th, 2020, or at least halfway through March 13th. So if you want to, what you do is you come watch my internet show on the 12th, and then on the 13th, you can make a pledge to support the Kickstarter. I got a whole bunch of stuff bonus things that I'm going to be offering. Actually, I'm going to be putting together a special concert, St. Patrick's Day concert for some people to listen to for your St. Patrick's Day celebrations. It'll be fun. Yeah.
And for those of you in the New England area, that's celtfather.net. I'm sorry.
That's why I love you, man.
February album writing month is over. I did 14 songs. I wrote 14 songs in February.
Woohoo!
12 of those have been posted to my Patreon as demos. 2 of them never got a recording yet, but I mean, that's, my Patreon patrons get a new song every Monday anyway. For as little as $1 a month, they get a new song every Monday for New Music Monday. That's 52 songs a year for as little as $1 a month.
I am so impressed by that. I can't pull that off.
Well, I didn't say they were good.
I know. I might be able to pull that off.
Really good.
I should try that. I should try that. Just put out some songs. Just write some songs, and just who cares how good they are? Most of them will probably be pretty ridiculous.
I try to make sure they're good, but good is subjective. Anyway, if you want to be, if you want in on that new music 52 song a year for $1 a month, you're welcome to patreon.com/Mikey Mason. Though you're perfectly welcome to pledge more, but only if you can afford it and you want to.
We're going to talk about the new songs. And what immediately struck me though was, as far as are they good? I shared the song that, from last episode, which was Naked. And, but all the lyrics have changed since I posted that. That's not true. The first verse has some similarities. There's a little bit, the bridge has some similarities, but it's like most of what it is, and the chorus I think is still mostly the same. But right now it's like such a changeable song right now, I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. I sat down afterwards and I was like, okay, I got to clean this up a bit. And I started working here and there and changing it. And then I realized that there's a story that I can actually fine tune, and then shared it with my wife, and she said, this part and so I changed it some more. So and it's still in the works, but we'll see what I can come up with. Eventually I'll have that ready.
Trash, by comparison, the one I wrote is pretty much set in stone.
Is it?
And it's remarked, a few people have remarked that it is, especially people who are very close to me, that it is not at all anything that I would have normally ever written, ever.
Oh, yeah.
That it is completely out of character for me to write that style of a song. For whatever reason. And, I'm super proud of it. And it is set in stone, but I completely identify. I've written songs before, and, I'm at the point of recording for an album, and maybe I've even got the final album version done, and the album's released, and I realized that I did it wrong.
I know. Well, I've done that with most of the songs that I think I've written over the years. There's a whole bunch of songs that I'm like, I should have spent some more time with it. One of the things that struck me, actually, I was thinking of a Leonard Cohen song, Hallelujah, which
14,000 verses or whatever.
Yeah, and that's because he wrote it, 50 years ago, whatever, and but it wasn't done. He's rewritten it because he's like it's not quite right, so he's rewritten it and rewritten it and rewritten it. And I don't ever want to get to that level of neuroses, but I do know that I've let songs slip by. I think about these songs that are, one of the ones that came to mind was like the Ring of Hope. I love how that song came out, but there's the third verse I mentioned, like what is it? His friends all gather around my door or something. The time shift in how I put it is not how it should be. It still is a beautiful song, and people love the song, and I'm very proud of it. But and I'm not going to rewrite it. I'll be honest. Whereas this, I'm still working. I can still work on it. I don't have to. I haven't recorded it. I don't have to. It's not set in stone. The rough cut is a rough cut. This is what my initial starting place was, or mostly initial starting place. Whereas this is where it's starting to evolve, and I can try to fine tune the story and the scanning of the lyrics to make sure that everything works better. And then I'm not years later saying, oh man, I should have done this, which I still might do. But I do feel like that's one of the things that I've seen as growing as a songwriter, particularly with this podcast, is that I'm no longer doing that. I'm no longer sitting aside and saying, let's just let it go. It's done. It's good enough, or whatever. Because I've never really wanted to, fine tune like that. And, but I've done that a lot more with this podcast, and I feel like some of the songs have benefited greatly from editing.
Well, and it's true. I mean, you start working with drafts. I'm personally a member of the cult of done. I want to get it done.
Yeah.
And put it behind me. And
amen,
sometimes, get stuff done. What is it? It's done. I can move on to other things.
Ship
now.
it. Yep.
But that doesn't always mean that it's the best it can be.
Right.
You were talking about Leonard Cohen and Hallelujah, and it reminded me of I found the interview. It's with Adam Cohen, Leonard's son, and it's from BBC Scotland. And here's what it says. Adam then tells the story of an amusing moment between Cohen and perhaps his closest creative peer, Bob Dylan. The two of them are sitting at a cafe in Paris, and Dylan says to him, "How long did it take you to write Hallelujah?" And my father completely lied to Dylan and said, "Oh, a couple years. I think it was actually 7 years," said Adam. And then my father returned the favor and said, "How long did it take you to write Like a Woman?" And Dylan said, 15 minutes.
I know. And that's what I am. I'm definitely more in the Dylan camp. And some of the songs you get them and you're like, okay, and let's keep. I'm ready. I'm done with this. I'm not gonna.
And sometimes maybe you don't. Maybe it's not. I want to say sometimes you knock it out of the park, but sometimes you nail it.
Right.
Whether it's a great song or it's a good song or whether it's just an okay song, you nailed it. It's the best it can be.
Right.
It's what it is. You've got that mosquito preserved in amber, and it's as finished as it could ever be. You can't make it better.
I think about, we're going to go into talking about the message in a little bit, and Bring Me Home Boys. I felt like that was, certainly Cedric added one additional verse, which I thought was fantastic for the Firefly community. But but the song that I originally wrote, the first 3 verses, I felt they were perfect. I'm sorry to say. I don't mean to sound egotistical or anything, but I just felt like that's exactly what the story is. There's nothing I would change about it. Nothing.
Yeah.
And
on that song, Bring Me Home, is that's as much as I had a song called Captain Tight Pants, which was my predecessor to this series. Bring Me Home was your predecessor to this series.
Yeah.
Because that is directly related to this episode.
Right.
Just like Captain Tight Pants is directly related to Shindig.
Yeah.
It's literally a recap of Shindig.
Right.
And Bring Me Home is so entrenched in this episode, so married to this episode, that you may not even have to write a song. You just post Bring Me Home.
I could do that. I'm going to try not to, but...
you can,
but I might. We'll see how it comes off. But
we will include.
We do need to include that song at the end of the show, though. So we
absolutely.
So yeah, let's go ahead and we didn't actually do our reviews. And really quick, my song "Naked." So it's about letting your guard down in a relationship, opening yourself up, and exposing your deepest thoughts and feelings, breaking down barriers, becoming emotionally naked with someone you love. And that's the ultimate goal that I was aiming for my song.
About being truly vulnerable in front of them.
Being vulnerable, yeah. Which is, I don't know about you, but it's a challenge for me.
Well, it is. That's how you know that the relationship is working, is if both of you can be vulnerable in front of the other one and the relationship isn't over.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly. That's exactly right.
So, Trash, on the other hand, is about an exploration. It's kind of a combination of Mal and I'm blanking on his name, but the husband that she came back to. You know who I'm talking about, the guy who owned the last.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's shouting it at us right now.
Right.
Anyway.
Don't you know this, people?
I've slept. But about them and, Saffron, Yolanda, Bridget, whatever, and how what she wants out of life and a relationship is completely different from them, and how she views their relationship is completely different from their view, and they see it as she views them, and the relationship is trash. And it's wow. It's it starts with the line that Mal said, "I've seen you with no clothes on before, but I never thought that I would see you naked."
Yeah.
And which is a paraphrasing. I changed it so it would scan, because he said, "I've seen you without any clothes on," but I changed it to, "I've seen you with no clothes on," because it scans better. But
yeah,
the point is that, having been on both sides of that relationship, having been the Yosaf Bridge in the relationship, or the Mal, or whoever else, or the Monty at the beginning, all of them. I've been on both sides of that relationship. And so when I wrote that song, it just really hit home from both sides, and about how once you come face to face and honest with what the relationship is, there's nothing left to do but take out the trash.
Yeah.
It's over. It's done. And so, yeah, it's bleak and vulnerable. The song itself seems vulnerable. I wanted it to be dark and moody, like early Springsteen, and kind of Nick Cave-ish. And
I love how that song came out. You did a brilliant job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not touching it.
It's done, man. It's done.
It's totally done. All right, let's get into the message, episode 12.
All right, let's do it.
A show summary. Episode 12, the message was written by Joss Whedon and Tim Minear. It's one of the few episodes that Joss Whedon is credited as writing, and it's only the second of 3 episodes, Trash, The Message, and Heart of Gold, that were not broadcast in the 2002 Fox run. These never made air in 2002. So, quick synopsis. The message opens on a space station with a huckster or carnival barker selling admissions to proof of alien life. Simon and Kaylee are on a date viewing it, which turns out to be a cow fetus. After an awkward joke, Simon offends Kaylee and she storms off. Outside, Inara tries to convince Mal to let her help fence the Lassiter they stole in the previous episode, Trash, but Mal insists on keeping her out of that side of the business.
Mal checks in with the station postmaster, who passes along 2 packages along with Serenity's mail. Jane arrives to find that his mother sent him a home-knitted cap, and he proudly dons it. The others observe the headgear with a mixture of amusement and sarcasm. The other shipped item is a huge crate addressed to Mal and Zoe. They open it and discover a dead body, the corpse of Private Tracy.
Flashback to 7 years earlier at the Battle of Duquesne. Sorry. As a young independent soldier, Private Tracy calmly prepares a meal behind cover. An Alliance soldier sneaks up on him, and just as the latter is about to shoot, Zoe appears behind him and cuts his throat. While she lectures Tracy about stealth, Sergeant Reynolds comes screaming over some obstacles and crashes into their position. Tracy's injured when the Alliance zeroes in on him. Mal and Zoe grab Tracy and their shell-shocked lieutenant and bug out.
Back in the present, aboard Serenity, the crew finds a recorded message from Tracy. He apparently anticipated trouble from some unsavory associates and asked them to ship his body home to St. Albans, finishing the message with an old saying from the war: when you can't run anymore, you crawl. And when you can't do that, well, yeah, you know the rest. Back on the station, an Alliance soldier, Lieutenant Womack, threatens first to imprison, then to burn to death the postmaster, who quickly tells the man and his aide who left with the body.
On Serenity, Mal and Zoe and Inara are enjoying some downtime when the ship is shaken by a warning shot from an Alliance craft. Lieutenant Womack hails them and demands to board Serenity. The crew mistakenly think that Womack is after the Lassiter, but when he mentions that crate, Mal realizes, all right, he's after Tracy's box, and stalls for time while they take apart the crate to discover what secrets it might contain. Finding nothing, they decide to have Simon autopsy the hapless soldier, but the doctor's first incision causes the dead man to leap up and struggle with the gathered crew.
After he calms down, Tracy confesses that he is smuggling illegal internal organs. He was supposed to deliver the implanted organs on Ariel, but he got a higher bid. Unfortunately for him, the original buyers killed the new customer, and now after the stolen merchandise. Another shot from Womack reminds them of their immediate peril. After a brief pursuit, the Alliance ship finally catches up with them.
Book does some checking on their Alliance pursuers and discovers some anomalous behavior, and he recommends to Mal that they allow the feds to board the ship. Tracy overhears some of this conversation and pulls a gun on the crew. Annoyed at Tracy, Mal orders Wash to call the feds. As Tracy fires at Wash, Zoe shoots him in the chest,
Lieutenant Womack
injuring him,
and his
but not
men
killing
enter
him.
the cargo bay. He tries to cowl the smugglers with his Alliance authority, but an unarmed Book arrives to explain why he won't be using that authority, given the pains he's taken to keep his extracurricular organ-dealing activity from the local veds. Faced with a surprisingly direct threat of death from the preacher, Womack decides to depart, dismissing the damaged goods in Tracy's gravely wounded chest.
Tracy belatedly realizes that Book's confrontation was part of a plan, one that he ruined by threatening the crew and getting himself shot for his efforts. Mortally wounded, he asks Mal and Zoe to really and actually deliver him home this time, and they agree, finishing the earlier saying, "When you can't crawl anymore, you find someone to carry you." Excerpts from Tracy's message can be heard at the crew as the crew of Serenity solemnly returns the fallen soldier to his grieving family.
All right. Wow. Love this episode.
It's a great episode.
Yeah.
One that I found it hard to take notes because I didn't want to stop watching it.
Well, the thing that I picked out, I had trouble picking out themes, but I did find lots of phrases. I was like, that'd make a good song title. That'd make a good song title. I could write a song about that.
I have two.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, boom.
Two themes or song titles?
Two song titles.
Okay.
Right off the bat. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was the big thing. I was having trouble coming up with fun things, but I absolutely love the episode. The only thing that has forever bugged me about this episode, I'm going to say, and probably others, is the he's transplanting organs. What about his? I guess he's not getting his organs back. No,
he said the original buyers were going to put his back.
So that's just okay.
But when he decided to double cross them, the implication is he's going to get 3 times, which is enough to get his parents off of that cold moon and somewhere warm. Which is the implication to me at least is that he's willing to trade his life so that his family has a better life.
Yeah. Well, I got that, but I was at the same time I was like wondering what about how he's going to get his. I know they said they're going to can put him back in, but that just seems kind of awkward. I mean, if you're transplanting, organs, how do you keep your own organs from dying in the process? You know what I'm saying?
Well, his organs aren't the experimental ones that aren't allowed to be transported. I guess other,
True. I mean, you don't need that for this whole episode, but that's the one thing that every time it comes up, I'm like, my brain kind of, diverges for a second. That's the one, what I'm saying? Sure. Where it just throws you off, the continuity off. But overall, the guy, the actor playing Tracy is just, I think he does an absolutely fantastic job.
He really does.
It's just a very natural character. I know he's done a bunch of stuff. He was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and some other stuff with Joss in the past. And I don't think I appreciate him nearly as much there. But here, I love this character, and love everything about the way Mal and Zoe appreciate. When they open the body, or when they're trying to get the body off the space station, and Shepard comes over to help him carry, and Zoe says, "We got it." I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It just
so
the feels just hit me.
Just before I launch into what may be a huge monologue, throw some of these song title lines that jumped out at you.
Yeah. The only girl in the world.
That was exactly the one. The only girl in the world. And you know what the other one was for me?
What's that?
Damaged goods.
Yes, I got that one too. Damaged goods. Oh no, we're thinking alike again. I did have others. Let me see what else I had though.
Those were the 2 I wrote in all caps. First rule of battle.
There's
yeah.
Don't
let them know where you are. course, there's other schools of thought.
And that was the other one I had to, other schools of thought.
I'm right here.
And I love the line, "Are you dead yet? I really wanted your beans."
Yes.
And of course, yeah. And then the classic part of this whole thing, everybody dies, Tracy. Someone's carrying a bullet for you right now, doesn't even know it. And of course, the irony being they're sitting there right there.
Yeah. And then he follows it up at the end of the episode.
To die old age, yeah.
I've been carrying this bullet for whatever, however many years. Yeah. Everybody loves Jane's hat. And of course it's a great scene and it plays, great lines, plays in the fandom. I just don't see anything important enough about it to write a song.
Yeah.
Right now.
Let me see if I'll get back over. Let me see what I had for that. Cause they did have the ending, as they get home, get to someplace better, someplace warm, was another thing that I liked.
Yeah.
Which is a line that I've missed always. I just want to get home, someplace better, someplace warm. Your dead army buddies on the bridge.
Yes.
Just smuggling it. Dreamt stones. Gloria. His stones and his homily. I remember his stones and his homilies of glory and honor, which I always like that. You murdered yourself. I just carried the bullet a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the lines that kind of stuck out the most. Yeah. So I didn't see much with Jane's Hat either. Just having a song called Jane's Hat sounds like fun, but
it really does.
But
and I'm surprised. I'll bet there's one somewhere.
There probably is. I'm certain there is. I think I've heard that song before.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it would be. What do you? I mean, I guess you could do a comedic song about Jane's Hat in some form or fashion, but I don't know what that is.
Thematically, that just wouldn't fit with what I'm doing. Although if it happened, I'm not arguing. It's one of those things. I found a few themes within this, but the first thing that really struck me about the episode and that I really loved about the episode and really brought home that this was that it was Joss and Tim who wrote it and then Tim Minear who directed it, is that they really concentrated on the frontier aesthetic, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
All the way through. The juxtaposition of a futuristic space station.
With P.T. Barnum.
Civil War era frontierism and carnival barkers. And it strikes at the very heart of what I think Whedon was aiming for with the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
And then the whole Civil War thing carries through, especially in the flashback to the Battle of Duquesne when, as you said, Reynolds says, aren't you dead yet? I really wanted your beans. Which is that whole kind of graveyard humor of the front lines,
Right.
And it's beautiful. Yeah. But that Barker just sums everything up at the beginning for me when he says, forget what you think you know, forget what your mother told you when she tucked you in at night, forget the lies of our oppressive, Kabbalistic allied governments.
Oh, wow. I did not catch that. Man, that's good.
and so things are not what they seem is both a theme of this episode and of course forget the lies of our oppressive allied Kabbalistic governments, forget what you think you know. That's a theme, especially in the Big Damn Movie.
Yeah.
Which probably was going to be a story arc somewhere within the series at some point.
Right.
So things not being what they seem is huge when here in this episode. The dead Bessie, the cow, the alien, right?
Yeah. Right.
The Womack.
Yeah.
He's
not a good cop.
He's not. He's doing it on the sly. He's doing it on the side. The compliments on Jane's hat. They're kind of what are called left-handed compliments. Man walks down the street in a hat like that. People know he's not afraid of anything.
Wow. Yeah.
Simon's feeble attempts at wooing Kaylee. Right. He tries to be funny and homey, and instead of just treating her like a woman who wants to be wooed, he tries to...
Tell me more about my eyes.
Yeah. The package isn't what it seems. It carries a dead body. The dead body isn't what it seems. It carries Tracy. Tracy isn't what he seems. He wasn't
actually dead.
he wasn't actually dead, and then he wasn't actually fully on the up and up, and he didn't really trust them, and I mean, all of it just plays in line after line after line. There are so many things in here that just aren't what they seem.
Yeah.
And the theme of deception runs all the way through the episode. And then relationships. One thing I love about this episode is that it explores all of the relationships. It explores the relationship between Simon and Kaylee. I really can't talk today. It explores that relationship, that fumbling, two different worlds colliding relationship between Simon and Kaylee. It explores the relationship between Zoe and Mal and Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
It explores the relationship between Book and the rest of the crew. And by the way, Book is not what he seems.
Right.
Because I don't think he really did a whole lot of research. I mean, he looked at their insignia and said, "You got your bars from Silverton." I mean, he knows his stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he's not what he seems. And then there just all these relationships just get explored. And then Kaylee and her relationship with Tracy, and then it's not what it seems because he's willing to turn on her, towards the end like that. And then that strengthens her relationship with Simon. So there's a lot of relationship building in this episode, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the theme of what we owe people, what we owe people. Amnon Dul, the postmaster.
Yeah.
Amnon is Hebrew for faithful.
Huh.
That's what it means. And, one of the things that struck me is a beautiful line that just kind of gets washed over as background noise is at the beginning when he says, "An old friend's face is a balm in this age."
Right. I love that line.
That is a beautiful line. It's well written, and it was just kind of blends into the background, and because it's meant to, because it's crafted that way. But what do we owe people? Mal and Inara. She wants to fence the Lassiter, and he doesn't want to jeopardize her career. She says, "A career that you abhor," and he goes, "I just don't want you to get in the way of trouble. Take it as you like," But
Right.
he's all fumbling when he says it,
Right.
Like she hit straight to the core. So all these relationship building and what they think they owe people, when you can't run, you crawl. When you can't crawl, you find someone to carry you. And there's that aesthetic that you can see is there between Mal and Zoe and Tracy. And even after he betrays them, like by being true to himself, true to who he is, even at the beginning, when we see him in the Battle of Duquesne, there they are after he's dying and he asks them to take him home and she doesn't hesitate.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to. And Mal is right there focused on him. Mal is being his CO.
Yeah.
He's being calm. He's looking him in the eye. He's treating him with respect and dignity. Yeah, you really were kind of stupid. But I'm, right here. I'm right here. He gives him that whole thing. I'm here for you. What do we owe you? He says all sorts of things about what they owe, but let me find something like, sorry, I printed out the whole script and it turns out to be a bad choice. But Mal says, "You mailed your ugly business to Zoe and me, Tracy. Cash on delivery. I'll go to hell before I watch you turn and bite us for the favor."
Right.
They're going all the way out of their way. He turns, there's that moment between Mal and Inara when he asks how far St. Albans is, and Wash says it's 2 days if we go to Hardburn, and Mal says it might mess with your schedule, and Inara says it's fine.
Yeah.
And there's that whole, you just see all these relationships click into place. And what do we owe the people who stand at our side or stood at our side? And what do we feel we owe them? And then you have that whole mercenary alliance kind of attitude that Womack shows. What does he owe the alliance? They're he's sworn oaths to them or whatever, but he's doing this on the side and he can't let them know he's doing it. And he's, acting as this mercenary bounty hunter kind of thing. So the thought of what we owe people just runs through this, as well as the interconnected relationships, and then deception is all the way through. But I love that line, damaged goods, and I think that's probably where I'm gonna go. With it. So, what about you?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm going to, a lot of times when I'm writing some of the songs, I just sit down and I start strumming, come up with a nice chord progression, and then start picking out lyrics that strike me, and then I run with it. And I really feel like this is gonna be another one of those, because at present I like the damaged goods line. I like, the old saying, first rule of battle. I'm not sure if I really want to go that direction. Other schools of thought, it could be a fun one. There's the carrying the bullet line. You carried me through the war. I'm not sure if I want to go back to the war theme, since I've done several songs with that.
Yeah, I've done a few.
The P.T. Barnum Hawker strikes me, and in a fun.
Yeah. And that's so much more a style song to write than me. But I love that whole, like I said, the frontier aesthetic.
Yeah.
Of him selling them something in the same way a carnival barker would, because that's what he is. But he's also wearing this big fur coat with a skull on the back and a top hat.
Right, the top hat. Yeah. Yeah, so I am not sure where I'm going to go with this at present. Again, it is one of my absolute favorite top episodes. I think it's up there. It's just beautifully done.
But I'll be completely honest. If you decide not to write a song and you just put "Bring Him Home" or "Bring Me Home," I skipped into Les Mis there for a minute. Bring him home. Bring me home.
Bring him. Yep.
Bring him home. He's like the son I might have known. Sorry.
Different reactions.
We got to stop before we have to pay royalties. But,
right.
But anyway, I think you're perfectly justified in.
I appreciate the cop out. I'm going to still be sitting down after this. And,
no, I want you to write a song. I'm just telling you, if you decide not to, I understand.
If it falls to pieces, I understand. Yeah, I got you. But yeah, it is a beautiful episode. So we'll see what we can come up with in a bit. Yeah.
I also love the way Simon looks at her and says, "You managed to find the bright side of every single thing."
Yeah. I had that written down as well.
Just the look on the acting in that. I mean,
the optimistic Kaylee,
and the affection between them is just so genuine, and there's a chemistry there, and it's just you see that, and you're like, I want that relationship to happen. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So,
bright side of everything. Yeah.
All right, let's break and let's write some songs.
All right, let's do that. All right, we'll be back in a sec. Thank you, everyone, so much for supporting this podcast. And I want to send a big thanks to my heroic patrons over on Patreon, members of my Gunn Runners Club. These amazing folks. There are so many amazing people who support my music, and these folks are top of the list. So big thanks to Alan D, Alexis, Angela H, Brian M, Carol B, Carrie W, Kristen P, Daniel S, David and Paulette, Doris Lane, Ed P, Eric R, Garrett R, Jacqueline H, James O, James R, Jan and Jim C, Jennifer B, Jennifer C, Jeremy H, Jerry A, Jessica C, Johannes, Josh B, Kamina Duck, Karen C, Kate D, Kalira, Kimberly K, Kurt G, Laura May S, Les Howard, Leslie M, Lilith Merrick, Lisa D, Luke M, Marie A, Mario B, Miranda Nelson Designs, Rachel B, Randy B, River G, Robin Louise F, Sarah C, Scott and Melanie W, Sharon S, Stephen C, Tammy G, Tam M, and Tina R. thank you so much for all your support of this, my music. I really appreciate it. And for this song, hopefully you enjoy whatever I put here. Mona Lisa never learned to smile. You came along and made her sing. She's not posing anymore, she's dancing. You see the bright side of everything. To walk along the sandy shore. The sky opens and it starts raining. You jump in puddles, we both start laughing. You see the bright side of everything. Someplace better, someplace warm. Someplace alone, just you and me. We can laugh at life's uncertainty while it's happening. And the bright side of everything. Gravity may make us fall. Our stomachs feel like they're turning. You say falling is a lot like flying. You see the bright side of everything. Someplace better, someplace warm. Someplace alone, just you and me. We can laugh at life's uncertainty while it's happening. The bright side of everything. Night is falling, it is getting dark. You hold my hand like you hold my heart. Inside of me I feel torn apart, but you see the bright side of everything. Someplace better, someplace warm. Someplace alone, just you and me. We could laugh at life's uncertainty while it was happening. And the bright side of everything. And I whisper, please, just let me see the bright side of everything.
Thank you, as always, to my amazing Patreon patrons for helping keep the music being made, especially Robin Abbess, Brian Jackie, John Height, John R. Woolard, Les Howard, Jeremy Jackson, and Jennifer Lewis. And welcome to my new patrons, Jim McCoy, Boo, Marshall Bush, M. Johnson, Acalia, Sean, Kevin Neeson, Jessica Rising, Lindsay A., Wayne Cole, John Luck, Amy Morris, Jerry Landry, Terry Comer, Bobby Browncoat, and Eric Distad. I hope you also love this tune, whatever it is.
I guess no one's life has ever been easy. Still, I'm pretty sure mine shouldn't be this rough. For every fight that ends, two more come out swinging. Till you cover up your head and cry enough. And every tunnel's lights a train that's coming faster. Till all you really want is safety for right now. And there's some little things you miss, like the hope for someone's kiss. But we're all just damaged goods anyhow. what your mama told you when she tucked you in at night. We went to war, never thinking we'd see home again. But it's a real world I couldn't survive. And every breath I take is one more than I planned for. One more than I thought time would allow. Living life under the gun, I didn't mean to cut and run. But we're all just damaged goods anyhow. And someone holds a bullet with my name. I'm just hoping to outrun it for right now. When I finally make it home, lay me underneath the snow. 'Cause we're all damaged goods anyhow. When I finally make it home, lay me underneath the snow. 'Cause we're all damaged goods anyhow.
Thanks so much for listening. You can download these demo songs when you sign up on our Patreon pages. Find out more about Marc, Gunn, and Mikey Mason and how to support our music on Patreon.
We'd love your comments, songs, and lyrics, or links to videos to share in the next show. Use the hashtag InTheVerse. You can post them on the Blue Sun Tour Facebook page or email InTheVerse@fireflydrinkingsongs.com.
In the Verse was produced by Marc, Gunn, and Mikey Mason. Sign up on our website to find out more about the Blue Sun Tour at fireflydrinkingsongs.com/InTheVerse.